Turkey has an incredibly important role, it seems, in mediating between Russia and Ukraine. Where do things stand right now? Because there have been some reports suggesting that there's not consensus, yes consensus on a couple points. Where are we right now?
As you know very well, we are the neighboring countries to the Black Sea with the Ukraine and the Russia, and then we have the relations are going on, what's going on, and we have at the moment we have the contact. My president talking with Mr. Zelensky and Mr. Putin, and of course through those communication. In each time we are we getting some opportunity to tell the extent of our views. From the very beginning, we are keeping our principles, and from the very beginning, we are defending the territorial integrity and the political entity and the sovereignty of Ukraine. And then since the 2014, always we kept saying that we didn't recognize the annexation of the Crimea.
Right, right. Yes. So where do you stand right now? You're calling both sides right now.
True.
Where do things stand?
True. Yes, we have we keep our communication at the presidential level, at the ministerial level. And then first of all, we are trying for the evacuation, and coordinate the evacuation of the civilians.
Yeah.
Some of them the Turkish nationals, some of them from the Ukrainian. Also, there are some other civilians from the other nationals. So the evacuations are important, as you know. So within this, we are nicely communicating and coordinating between both sides. On the other hand, humanitarian aid is very important. So we understand, we see the humanitarian situation is deteriorating. So we are trying to do our best for the humanitarian aid to the how to say Ukraine.
But that's why I ask, where are things right now between the two on the calls you have with the Russian ministers and the Ukrainian ministers? Are they any closer to resolving their issues than they were a week ago?
You remember from the media, I believe that my president talked with Mr. Putin and Mr. Zelensky.
Yeah.
None of them said no for coming together, for some peaceful solution, for the ceasefire. So we are still hopeful. So with this month, we are keeping communication with them.
But is there any prospect of a meeting this week, next week, a month from now?
Not the specific time, specific day, but they continue presidential level to talk about the possible solutions. You remember some days ago, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and Russia come together in Turkey, in Antalya. So it was some good signal for all of us. They may come, and then they can come together, and then they can discuss their issues to find the political solution, peaceful solution.
So nothing yet. They're not at the table together quite yet.
Not yet. So easy.
Not yet.
So we have to be patient, and then we have to continue to work on this issue. To convince on to accept the views and the suggestions and our recommendations will continue. So through that way, we are trying to find a way to political, peaceful solution to the conflict, to this war, let's say.
On the S-400 missile system, this has been a key flashpoint for Turkey with relations with the West. There's been a lot of talk about what Turkey might do with the S-400. What confidence-building measures would you need to see from the United States, from the West, to make progress on this issue? What do you want to see them do? Obviously, you want the Patriots, you want the others. How do we move forward on this issue?
You know the story. The story starting from the 1990s.
Right. Yeah.
Since then, we are looking for the air defense system. The regional, the long range, the missile and the air defense system. So we started to work on this issue necessarily, naturally, with our allied countries. with the states, with the European countries. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it. And the S-400 is not the choice for Turkey, but it was the necessity. So very recently, just on the way back from the NATO summit, my president already talked with the press by saying that it's a done deal.
Yeah.
So but on the other hand, we need more. At the same time, we are talking to the counterparts with a lot of countries, France, Italy, United States, depending on the result of those discussions, meetings. Of course, we can find another solution, another way to buy the new air defense systems.
Any signs that those discussions with the West are moving forward in a constructive fashion on the defense systems?
The air defense systems. We had the long discussions with the French and Italy about something the air defense system. Now, as a continuation of the previous discussion of the work study, we may continue within upcoming days, upcoming period.
Upcoming days, upcoming period. In terms of the EU, Turkey has talked about restarting its efforts to join the EU. Do you see the European Union as a cohesive security bloc in the future, given what we're watching in Europe unfold right now?
We have to look at the issue from the point of the practicality. Look at the situation, look at the reality, look at the ground. We are defending the southeastern border of European Union, NATO, and the whole Europe. So already we are working together against the immigrants, against the terrorist activities, and so on. Look at the situation on the one hand NATO, on the other hand the European side. But while we are complaining of the budget and some expenditure, don't lose our money. We have to come together, and then we have to look at the issue from a similar, same point of view. So within this, we are very well qualified nation. Remember, we are within the NATO for more than 70 years.
Right.
And then we fulfill all our responsibilities very nicely and completely without making. We are not a burden on the shoulder of our allied countries on NATO or on the EU, but we are taking the burden from the alliance.
Right. Finally, President Biden made some very controversial comments yesterday about how Putin cannot remain in power. You're in the negotiations. You're hearing both sides. Is that a negative for moving forward with talks between Russia and Ukraine?
So as I said before, yes, there is a very serious situation. Then there is an invasion of the sovereign country.
Right.
So from the very beginning, we are against that sort of activities, totally, entirely. So the issue for us, not to cause any escalation, any other further conflict, further problem, not only for Ukraine but also for whole Europe. So until the end, we will try to find a way, political, peaceful solution to the issue.
I see.
But on the other hand, as stated by NATO, of course, we are ready to defend the NATO countries, NATO borders.